Time for another episode of Damien Ruins Horror Movies. My name is Damien, and in honor of Friday the 13th and a special request from my good buddy Justin, tonight I finally ruin Jason X. As always, this episode is brought to you by Cool Dude Inc. Go down to the show notes, click on the link, go check out some shirts, and go make yourself look good. Now let's cue up the whiskey bats and get this thing started.
Bring it back the day ahead.
Jason X is directed by James Isaac and it's written by Todd Farmer, who also wrote My Bloody Valentine and Drive Angry. Because he's in this movie, he tends to do cameos in his movies. He was the red herring trucker in My Bloody Valentine 3D, the remake, not the original, obviously, because he's not that old. This film opens at a Crystal Lake research facility. Jason is chained up and held captive. Rowan and her research team have been doing tests. They've killed him multiple times, but Jason won't stay dead. So Rowan has decided the best solution is to cryogenically freeze him. You know, kind of like Walt Disney, allegedly. I've heard that that's bullshit, but I heard it my whole life that his head's frozen somewhere. But David Cronenberg has other ideas. He wants to keep Jason unfrozen so he can do tests and figure out how Jason reanimates and somehow figure out how to use that for humans. Side note, in an effort to keep this episode short, I'm only going to introduce the characters as I have to, because there's a lot of characters in this movie. And of course, Jason escapes and the killing spree begins. Rowan manages to trap him in the cryogenic chamber, but as she closes the door, he stabs her with the machete through the door into her, solar plexus? I don't know if that's quite what that is. But it causes a cryogenic breach and a lockdown. And now they are both frozen. A crew finds the cryogenic chamber and they notice that it was made in 2010. They find Jason and then they find Rowan, both still frozen. They take them back to their ship. And it's been a while since I've seen Alien, but this seems very similar to the plot of Alien. Except Alien was actually scary. They fly them to the lab. They're not sure about Jason, but they're pretty sure they can bring Rowan back. She has been frozen for 4.55 centuries. I do like how this film does show the passage of time without having to put little headers and footers of where we actually are, because it's kind of the unraveling of the story is when everything's happening. The characters and the events kind of tell the timeline. For as much as this movie gets shit on, the pace is actually pretty good. Adrian has been assigned to Jason. Stoney and Kinzer are supposed to be helping, but they can't control themselves. For some reason, they're dry humping in the medical room till finally Adrian says, "Hey, why don't you guys just go away till you can control yourselves?" So they leave. In another room, KM-14 is working on Rowan. They have some kind of army ants that repair body tissue and reanimate all your cells and shit. So, in a matter of minutes, her machete wound is healed and she's back. But unfortunately, they have to give her the bad news. You've been frozen for 4.5 centuries. Which, I don't know. We watch Buck Rogers, we're on board. We watch Austin Powers, we're on board. We even watch Han Solo get frozen in carbonite, and we're fucking cool with that too. But Jason gets frozen, and everybody rolls their eyes. Oh, he's in space. Suddenly it's the Fonzie jumping the shark shit. Which, that's how it looked to me. But this movie actually doesn't quite feel that way. And I'm not saying the movie's good. I'm just saying it's not as ridiculous as the concept sounds. And although this movie was made 2 years before Freddy vs. Jason, it takes place in 2010, thus making the battle of Freddy and Jason still possible and still a big enough window where we could have Jason on Earth killing people between Freddy versus Jason and when the events of this movie begin. Professor Lowe is the leader of this ragtag group of students. And for some reason, he needs money. They don't really indicate why. He just needs it. It's not like some kind of Han Solo shit where it's like he's in debt and they make a big deal and it's like a subplot. Apparently he's just a greedy bastard. And for a professor, not the smartest guy. Or at least his judgment sucks. He makes a call and finds out that Jason could be worth a fortune. He also has a weird nipple fetish.
Harder. Harder.
Who's been a naughty little boy?
I have. Oh, harder.
Meanwhile, Sunaran is checking out KM14's tits and we get some boobage! KM14 is kind of his girlfriend, but at the same time she's not human. She's a robot, or an android, a love bot that he made. Smart guy. Build useful equipment that you can fuck. Brilliant. It's genius. All the science in the world is not waking Jason back up, but suddenly he smells fuck. At this point, Jason just kind of seems like that asshole friend that can't get laid, so he's got to ruin everybody else's time. And Adrian is our first victim, and despite feeling like I'm watching Andromeda, the kills in this film are actually pretty brutal. I just kind of feel bad because she was so sweet to him. This movie must have pissed sci-fi people off. They're like, what? How dare you? Professor Lowe brings Rowan some food and fills her in on what's going on a little more. She is aboard Grendel, a transport ship. She explains how she got into her cryogenic predicament and then starts to explain about the greed of old David Cronenberg. She basically explained to him what went wrong, and she's blowing the whistle on all the shit that he's about to try and do. She's like narrating to him. She's like, hey, these guys did this and everything went wrong, so we don't want to do that again. Meanwhile, he's over there like, I'm going to do that too. But he can't connect the dots, even though he's a professor, and professors are supposed to be smart guys, right? Not this guy. I guess when greed turns our eyes green, nobody's really that bright. Judgment is out the window. Which is why motive for him needing the money would have been nice. Instead he's just a greedy asshole. It'd be different if he could have... Because you can be kind of like... Because if you owe a lot of money, you can be compromised. That doesn't make you a bad person. But for him, it's like he just wants money because he wants money. It seems like there's something beneath the surface a little bit, but they don't expand on it. So it's like, I don't know, is this guy just an asshole? Or does he owe Jabba the Hutt money? Which is it? Rowan meets the rest of the crew, and she finds out that Jason is aboard. But not to worry, she's safe. But she's like, how can I be safe if Jason's on board? Because she knows what he's capable of. They don't know who Jason was, or is. That was 4.5 centuries ago. And while this is happening, Jason has found the fuckers, Stoney and Kinsey, and he's killing Stoney while they're all having their little meet and greet on the other side of the ship. And it's a red alert as Professor Lowe is instructed to take his students down to the lab where they can kind of lock down in there. And Sergeant Brodsky and his Mega Marines are going to go take Jason out. But Lowe wants to stop them because he needs Jason in one piece. He needs Jason alive so that he can make his money off of him. He's just got to keep Jason alive till they get to Solaris, which is a space station that they're trying to get to. It's not an actual planet, it's a station. And if Lowe can stall that long, then he can get that paper. But one by one, Jason takes out all the Mega Marines, including Briggs, who in real life is Sebastian Bach's sister, which is weird. I don't know why it's weird. It's not that weird. It's just kind of, it was the first fun fact on her little profile. Good news, though. Solaris is right ahead. They're almost there. Lowe can get paid. The bad news is, and they don't know this, but the pilot is dead. So instead of making a nice, graceful landing and getting the welcome committee and everybody can get the attention they need that their little spaceship couldn't give them, they just kind of plow right through it and rip it to shreds. Their ship takes doesn't take no damage, but they take very much, considering that they rip through Solaris very slowly. and they destroy the whole thing, making this has got to be Jason's biggest kill count, because technically I give Jason the credit. He just wiped out a whole space station. That's way more than way more people than a summer camp. Jason finds the lab where all the students are hiding out, and he breaks in, but he doesn't go through the front door. He goes through the back window, which they're not expecting. So they go out the front door and make a break for it. There's not really anywhere to go. They're on a ship. If they leave, Lowe stays behind. He's trying to reason with Jason, and I don't know why. Well, obviously, it's because he's from the future. He doesn't know anything about Jason. Even though he made a phone call to sell Jason, he got a little backstory. He's heard Rowan's version of how they've tried to kill Jason, and he won't stay dead. And he's there, and Jason's got some weapon. Lowe's got his machete, and he's like, "Oh, you want this, don't you?" And Jason's like, see, that's all you wanted. Everybody's ready. They're afraid of you. They think you're this big bad monster. But the little monster, they just want his little machete back. Yeah, Jason kills him. Chops his head off. He chops his head clean off. And now we're down to 6. Rowan finds Sergeant Brodsky. Turns out he's not dead, but he's pretty fucked up. And she wants to take him back and save him, but she's got a big ass gun in case Jason comes, and she's smaller than him. She can't by herself get him there unless if she leaves the gun, she could eventually drag him there, like Luke Skywalker trying to save Vader in Return of the Jedi, trying to get him off the Death Star before it blows. But she can't do it, so she goes back to the others and lets them know. It's like, hey, he's still alive. I can't do it myself. I need help. But when she and help return, he's gone. There's an escape pod that they could all fit into, but since they didn't all arrive, Kinza gets in first, and once she shuts the door, she's like, fuck you guys, I ain't opening it. He's out there. And they're like, open the door. We can all get in right now. She's like, nope. Not risking it. And then she tries to escape. She actually tries to leave them, except she doesn't, like, there's hoses and stuff that fuel the pod. That she, obviously this is the first time she's ever tried to escape in a pod. So she tries to escape, and it kind of just tethers her, like, into the bottom of the ship and blows it up. And wrecks a big part of the ship, too. Like, this ship is just, like, getting worse and worse as time passes. Sunaran 6KM14 on Jason. She proceeds to shoot and kick the shit out of him. Because, you know, she's not a human, so she's extra powerful, she's accurate, plus she's got like 10 guns on her, and she just shoots and shoots until there's pretty much nothing left. It seems Jason is dead. Again. It always seems like he's dead. He's never dead. He can't die. They find Sergeant Brodsky, but he's all fucked up. And they go to take care of him, but the ship is too weak. They can't get enough, like, power to regenerate him. But they do get a call, and help is on the way. There's a ship coming that they can board, but they need the ship. The people on the ship say they can be there in 45 minutes. They're like, we need you here in 30. If you're here any later than 30, we are fucked. We are not going to last 45 minutes. Little do they know that even though the ship and whatever power they need to try and get Sergeant Brodsky back into good health, I guess he's getting regenerated. It's just really slow because the ship's so weak. But I guess it's probably slow because the little army ants that reanimate people, they found Jason first. And so they swarm Jason and they regenerate him, giving us Jason X. Which is not really Jason X. It's like Jason 2.0. Because Jason X is, you know, Friday the 13th Part 10. The X is a Roman numeral. It's not Super Jason. But the Jason we do get is Super Jason. He's got his cool, futuristic, metal hockey mask. It's not even a hockey mask anymore. He looks like Destro. He looks like that shitty Destro they came out with in the early 2000s. And they've already got a plan. They got detonators that they're setting up to blow up half the ship. And they're hoping that Jason will be on that half of the ship when it happened, but he's not. He's right in front of them. So they stick KM14 back on him. We're like, all right, get him. Do it again. We're expecting the same thing. Nope. Immediately, he chops her head off. The rest of her is kind of useless at this point. And now They just have to run. And good old Suze Naren, you know, the guy that made her, he takes her head along and he's like, oh, let's get out of here. And he carries her off to safety. It's like, but now you got to make her a whole new body. But they do manage to lure him onto the part of the ship that they're planning to blow off. They just have to be able to try and get away from him. They get locked, so they lock it off. Jason's still over there, and they end up leaving Waylander behind. And Waylander, he's wounded. Like, he's probably going to die. So he martyrs himself, and he sets off the detonators, and he blows off that part of the ship that Jason is on, saving the day. Yeah, Waylander. And help arrives. As we're down to Sunaran, Rowan, Brodsky, and KM-14's head that still works. But there's a problem with the pickup. The ship's trying to pick them up, but it's locked. They can't get the door open. It's like the door that leads to the little tunnel thing that leads to the other ship that they were past that extends. I don't know how to explain that. But it won't open because the ship's too fucked up. So Brodsky martyrs himself. There's only 2 black dudes in this movie, I'm pretty sure. 2 black dudes with lions, and both of them are just eager to martyr themselves. And Brodsky's like, puts on this suit and he's like, I'll go out there and fix it. Probably because he's the weakest, so it's like, I got the least chance of living, and I know this ship, so I'll go take care of it. Oh, and Jason's back on the ship, because he got blown out of the ship, but he breaks back in. But Sunaran and KM-14, they make a plan. They can make holograms all around him, and they trick Jason into thinking that he's back on Crystal Lake. And we get some more boobage! Because you know what a dum-dum Jason is. He's like, I mean, you could tell him, I mean, fucking Alice not Alice, I don't remember, the red-haired girl from number 2, she tricked him into thinking, like, yeah, I'm your mom. Just by putting on a sweater. Just by putting his mom's sweater on. It's like, hey, remember me? It's me, mommy. He's like, huh? It is? He's been tricked. Corey Feldman tricked him into thinking that he was little kid Jason. I mean, the guy's a fucking idiot. He just won't die, though. He's a strong idiot. That's the most dangerous kind of idiot, is like a kick-ass idiot. And he goes on an imaginary killing spree, which allows us to revisit my favorite kill, the sleeping bag. But this buys them time while Brodsky works his magic on the outside of the ship. And that enables them to get on to the rescue ship, leaving Brodsky behind. And just in time, because as they escape and detach from it, that ship, the Grendel transport ship, it blows up. And out the window, they can see that the explosion shoots Jason directly into their escape ship. Almost. But at the last second, Brodsky flies by and intercepts him, and they fly off into the distance. And they're looking, and it's like, oh, look. And they're headed to a planet. And then we pan in on the planet. There's a young couple camping. And they're like, hey, look, a shooting star. Oh, it's going toward the lake. Let's go check it out. The end. The Gilligan Award goes to Professor Lowe. Just for being a total piece of shit. He chose money over the lives of the people around him because he was too greedy to listen to anyone else. The Badass Award goes to KM-14 because she's a love bot and she went 1-in-1 with Jason. Although Brodsky's the actual hero that saved the day. But if KM-14 hadn't done shit first, Brodsky wouldn't have ever gotten the opportunity. It's the order of the events that matter, not the outcome. The outcome matters too. Whatever. All right. What did we learn? Survival tales. Don't fuck. Not even in space. Don't be a greedy fuck. 3. I usually try and do 3 of these. I don't have a third one, man. I can't relate to people that live in outer space. But that concludes Jason X. If you like this video, please subscribe, turn on your notifications, and thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time. Hopefully.